Hi, I'm Linda Alpert Gillis, Director of the University of Rochester Medicine, Pediatric Behavioral Health and Wellness, Outpatient Services of the Department of Psychiatry and Golisano Children's Hospital. I am so excited to welcome you to our first art show, Youth for Racial Justice, not a moment, but a movement. The theme of the show came from our patients who are searching for ways to have a voice and cope with the racial injustice we see in our daily lives. The art show is dedicated to our joint determination in promoting racial justice in the greater Rochester community. This is our kickoff event for our Creative Arts Initiatives program, which is made possible by a donation from the William and Mildred Levine Foundation. So we thank them very much. I also want to thank the Department of Psychiatry, the Bridge Art Gallery, and the Golisano Children's Hospital for their support. I'd now like to introduce you to Amanda Lay, who is the curator of the Bridge Art Gallery and the Arts and Communication Specialist of the Department of Psychiatry.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Amanda Lai. I am Arts and Communication Specialist, as Linda mentioned, and also the curator for the Bridge Art Gallery. I have hopefully met with many of the artists and the teachers throughout this submission period. So it's great to see you all again. I just want to introduce us and the gallery. We're a small gallery. Well, I say small, but 52 frames in UR Medicine, Mental Health and Wellness, otherwise known as the Department of Psychiatry, on the first floor. This is our 10th year, and we are dedicated to removing the stigma associated with entering our part of the hospital. So we typically have shows 3 or 4 times a year featuring artwork from local students, local artists, and those in the community. So I will pass it on to Shun Hill.
Thanks, Amanda. Hi, my name is Shun Hill. I'm a senior mental health therapist at Pediatric Behavioral Health and Wellness. I'm also the coordinator for the Racial Justice Initiative team. I would also like to introduce our associate coordinator, Gerard Johnson, and he's also our community liaison here at Pediatric Behavioral Health and Wellness. And I want to have Elena introduce herself.
Alrighty. Sorry. My name is Elena Page. I'm an art therapist, a licensed creative arts therapist and board certified art therapist. I work as a staff clinician at Pediatric Behavioral Health and Wellness, Child and Adolescent Outpatient Services, and I'm a member of the Racial Justice Committee. I'm going to give us a little refresher about what the theme of the art show is, and then we're going to get into viewing some of the artwork and reading some of the statements. We'll have some discussion about the pieces tonight and hopefully have a good reception. So the show, like Linda said, is called Youth for Racial Justice, not a moment, but a movement. And when we put out the call for art, we asked for young artists in our community to send in images promoting equitable racial justice in the community, and also images of hope and joy that are related to that theme. Before we get started, I'm gonna kick it over to Maggie Powell, who is another one of our creative arts therapists, to talk a little bit about our programs.
There we go. My name is Maggie Powell. I'm a senior staff clinician here at Pediatric Behavioral Health and Wellness Outpatient as well. I am a registered drama therapist and a licensed creative arts therapist. So we actually have 4 licensed creative arts therapists on staff here, myself, Elena, and 2 other art therapists. We are able to work individually with patients and families, as well as helping to lead some groups that particularly use our creative modalities. And we're looking forward to a lot of exciting new possibilities to be able to partner further with community members and be able to bring the arts further into the Rochester community. So we're really excited to be supporting this art show today. I can say more, I'm not sure.
Alrighty. Thanks, Maggie, for giving us that introduction. We're gonna get into viewing some of the artwork that was shared with us. So we'll go through a slideshow of the artwork that's displayed in the gallery. And here we have a view of what the gallery looks like. Unfortunately, due to COVID, we've had some difficulty getting in there for a live reception, but it'll be nice to view all the artwork here. Alrighty, so I'm gonna go through and I'll read the artist's statement that goes along with their piece, and we'll have a couple of kind of discussion points or topics to talk about. And Sean and Gerard, feel free to jump in whenever you're ready, or anyone else. So we can start looking at some of the artwork. So Amanda, if you want to advance the slide, I don't know if there's a delay on my screen. Well, we're getting our show on the road here. Thanks for bearing with us and working to problem solve together.
You're getting some improvisation too. I like it.
That's right. We're flexible.
Yeah, definitely. So the first artwork we have is from Taya, and she has titled this Girl. And her artist statement says, "My vision of a person of color." This one is by Michaela and is titled Black Lives Matter. The artist statement says, "This is a painting about racial justice. This painting will show people that Black lives matter too." When we're looking at this artwork, I think it, pretty much names some big racial trauma, and it allows there to be a safe space to process some of that grief and to hold that experience. Yeah. So this is The Wish by Grace. "Everybody has a wish. When more than one person has the same dream, that is how movements are inspired." I think this one's powerful as a different representation in that it's using metaphor to really connect to the audience and kind of elicit some of that emotion. So there's lots of layers in artwork that we can be as explicit or implicit as we want to be with our messages. And so the mood of this painting may resonate for some folks who can connect to that mixed experience of feeling hopeless and hopeful at the same time.
Yeah. And Elena, what I noticed here too is that she has more than just one wish, right? There's just not one wish that she's asking for. It seems like she's allowing several wishes to come.
Sean, that's interesting because I was wondering who else was sending up lanterns. Like, are they coming from other people?
Oh, see, I just see her, and you can see me. Interesting.
The color palette's really the thing that strikes me in this one as well. Just how kind of foreboding the tone of the painting seems, and then those lanterns really light up the sky quite a bit. Alrighty. The next one is A New Dawn by Abigail. And this was done in watercolor pen. This painting represents unity and friendship. Together, if we can put aside our differences, our light can chase the darkness away. This is by Jay. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I think that was a very powerful piece. I mean, and it also looks like it shows a lot of different females of Black and brown and white. And then also with this being Women's History Month, I think that really speaks a lot. And I really think how she really highlights the point of being able to put aside our differences, work together, come together. And it's so amazing. I know you guys know too, but it's so amazing to see youth from all across the county to take this on and to spread their message of the love and unity and coming together. And I just wanted to say, I mean, just like I was saying earlier, this is Women's History Month, and it was great to see that, you know, these women are on the forefront and showing unity and not tearing each other down, but building each other up. I think that's a very powerful, powerful piece.
Yeah, and I love the colors, and that kind of fits in with the artist statement too. It's like all these bright, brilliant colors, both in terms of their clothing, but also the different racial complexions of every, you know, skin complexions of everyone pictured. I just think it's really powerful.
There's
I
a
like
quote
that.
there. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
You might have been about to say the same thing.
Okay.
I
There's
was
a
just
quote
going to
there
say, I
from-
like that she quoted.
Go
We're
ahead,
on
Maggie.
on the same wavelength. I like that she quoted Amanda Gorman, who was the youth poet laureate at the inauguration, who was just such a fantastic example, I thought, of a young Black woman sharing her experiences and her stories and her words.
It says, when day comes, we step out of the shade, aflame and unafraid. The new dawn blooms as we face it, for there is always light if only we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it.
And then the one on the top is from ML King, right? So
Yeah, it's Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., yeah. Returning hate for hate multiplies hate. Adding deepens darkness to a night already devoid of stars. Darkness couldn't drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. Sorry, I'm trying to squint to read some of the text there. So go to the next one here. We've got Jalen's Together We Rise. And Jalen says, racial justice isn't going to come from one person. People of color everywhere have to come together to create reform and equality for everyone. Alrighty. Noah has shared with us Taking a Stand. The Black Lives Matter movement proved that all people can take a stand for equal rights.
I like that, and it's, and also in all the pictures we're seeing different. You know, this is an Adobe one, you know, using Photoshop, but also we're seeing acrylic, we're seeing watercolors. I just love how the artwork is using so many different modalities.
It's interesting from coming from kind of an art and psychology perspective. The types of materials we use kind of tap into different parts of the brain. And so with something more fluid like paint, you might get more emotional sensory experiences, stuff that's just kind of like feeling. And when we go to the other side of the continuum where it's more restrictive, like photography, collage, and digital artwork, that's where we can see more like thinking tools and thinking messages. So, and some of that higher kind of, well, not higher, sorry, but like symbolic level. So you'll see like the raised fist is a symbol throughout. And I can kind of talk a little bit about that later on as well. But alrighty. This is by CE called Human Rights. I used Photoshop and other digital resources to make a collage about human rights.
Good.
talked about that raised fist, right?
Yeah, I love how all of these too, a lot of people are incorporating the written word along with images. Like we've seen that in a lot of the art.
Mm-hmm. Gerard, were you going to say something?
No, I was just agreeing with Linda was saying, that seeing how they're using the images, showing the Black Lives Matter using the fist pump, and then talking about equality across the continuum of, not just in race, but just in different things throughout, just making sure there's equality and voice are heard throughout. So I think that's very powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. Madison, you matter. This shows that everyone matters, even if you think down about yourself. So you're seeing, trying to reach out and encourage others.
That's powerful. I think as we talked about a few weeks ago about, being an allies to youth, but I think youth being allies to other youth. And I think this showing that how she's able to reach across and show love, and let someone know, let someone else know that they matter, even in what we're seeing on TV or in our community, just reaching out and showing the love. And I think that's the thing that we've seen through all of this art exhibit, is that our youth are willing to show and wants to show their community about love, and that everyone really matters. And I think that's great for our youth to be displaying that type of love, so it's great.
I like that. I was just going to add to this one too. I like that the perspective as the viewer is that like we're behind the two individuals, so it's almost like we've got their back too.
Nice way of saying that.
Connection is such a big part of resiliency, being able to bounce back from tough stuff. And I think as a community, one of the things that's been really humbling and great about this show is seeing the themes and how the messages resonate with each other, and folks are connecting with their own experience, connecting with others' experiences. Yeah. So we can go to the next one here. This one is by Nyana, and it is titled John 3:16, Take Heart. And it says, I have told you these things so that in me you may have peace. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart. I have overcome the world. And I believe there's some text on here as well that says, I've told you all this so you, it's the same text, I'm sorry. I've told you all this so that you may find your peace in me. You will find trouble in the world, but never lose heart. And then it says, we are not terrorists and BLM.
Mm-hmm.
Giovanni has titled this one, The Fire of BLM. So again, we're seeing that raised fist symbol.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be prominent throughout the show. And the statement says, I am inspired by the movement BLM. This is important to me. I created my project using Photoshop. Scripted. All right. Wilfred, same world, same life, same love. And Wilfred's statement says, I used the white china marker on black paper to create a positive and negative exposure appearance, showing how both sides may appear different, yet they are really all one and the same.
Mm-hmm.
I think the reaction that I have to Wilfred's piece is interesting too, that folks are, that we have a lot in common, that there's a lot that is the same, and yet we're treated very differently based on differences in identities, whether that comes from various, intersecting identities, as we've kind of talked about. Layla, what we all want. The people are asking Lady Liberty for rights, and they are protesting.
And this goes to the mood, right? Lady Liberty is crying. There's, asking for a lot of different things. We are all equal. Black Lives Matter. See a lot of emotion in this one.
And I love how the Statue of Liberty is depicted as a strong Black woman.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a powerful image.
I'm struck too by all the intersecting issues too. You can see Lady Liberty wearing a mask and just how the COVID-19 pandemic has affected our communities in such different ways, or Save the Arctic Now, and how climate crises are intersecting. So many things happening all at once that are all so important and essential for us to be speaking up about.
Mhm.
Alrighty. Abigail has titled this one A Change. And their statement is, I thought of the design for my activism poster by thinking of issues I've seen covered on social media and all around me. I decided to draw a design for each issue I wanted to cover that I'm passionate about. I do hope the world can change and these problems can be fixed. So again, like all those intersecting different issues. I think this gets across to like how powerful and passionate some of our young people are. And we've definitely heard this, around in the Rochester community, but the idea was to make some space for folks to be able to share that passion with other people and keep the conversation going.
Mhm.
Courtney, no justice, no peace. I created this piece because of the Black Lives Matter movement. I strongly believe everyone should be treated equally no matter what they look like. No one deserves to be treated differently for the color of their skin. And this is kind of the power of the portrait here.
Mhm.
Face is so expressive.
Yes, I was just thinking that the face is very expressive and it fits the theme, like no justice, no peace. And yeah, I agree. This is very powerful.
The word resolve comes to mind in two different ways.
Yeah.
No justice, no peace. That there, in a lot of these cases that are referenced here, that there is a feeling of being unresolved or injustice. And also that resolve of moving forward and continuing to fight for action,
And change.
sharing this message and change. All righty. Clarissa, Brought Together by Love. And Clarissa says, I wanted to show people all different kinds of skin colors and that just because they are different in color, they can still be friends.
It's a nice image.
Yes, it is.
I could spend all night talking about all these.
Yeah, that was a very powerful image as well. That was very powerful. Yeah.
Yeah. Ramelia,
Uh-huh.
I apologize if I'm mispronouncing names. And this one is titled My Black Community. And she says, in this project, I drew a Black woman and man. This drawing is representing my people who are targeted every day and are killed not by whites, but also by our own people. I wrote the quote, her name, say his name, because these names need to be heard, not forgotten.
Mm.
These people die every day seeing awards that are very ungrateful. So the 2021 generation says his and her name. Use your head and voice.
Mm. Yeah, that's good.
I just got chills.
Yeah, I think that the use of paint there again is really is that emotion, getting that emotion across, and the words are very strong in describing that picture as well. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I just want to interject as well. This actually is part of double pieces. So
Mhm.
this is the second of Vermilia's pieces.
This
It
is
looks like
black.
there's I'm sorry, go ahead, Sean.
No, this was the Black lady and the Black man she was talking about in the first quote, right? And then say her name also kind of goes along with that. I see.
Mm-hmm. It looks like there's a quote from Malcolm X on there as well. It says, you can't separate peace from freedom because no one can be at peace unless he has his freedom.
Mm.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
This one's from Nadia, and it's titled Equality. And her statement reads, all people should be treated equal with kindness and love. This one is by Carter, and it's called Black Lives Matter. And Carter writes, this artwork is a representation of the fight for Black lives in the wake of the Black Lives Matter movement.
Yeah, I like how Carter took it to how the NBA, the WNBA, other sports, entities across just came out and spoke up and supported and raised awareness. And I like how he took that and made that reference and showing the guy with the basketball. I think it's Tatum from the Boston Celtics. So I mean, it's just I like how he captured the sports side of it and acknowledged what those guys were doing and their activism and awareness.
Mm-hmm. Nicely said.
Grace, we are all equal. And Grace writes, everyone should be treated equally, no matter your gender, sexuality, race, or economic status. We are all equal and valuable.
Yeah, I like that. Isn't it amazing though to see how our youth, like, it's just, I mean, through their art and expression of the being, equal and love and trying to, it gives you hope for the next generation that's coming up that, they won't have this stigma, they won't have this, hopefully they won't have this divisiveness, being divided. So I think this is great seeing all this. We are equal and everyone is equal and showing the love, and then seeing the different intersections is great. It's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's some really impactful artwork throughout this whole show. You can see that folks really trusted us to share personal parts of their own stories here, as well as how it connects to the larger community who's affected by this, and looking at those different identities that intersect. Again, I know I've mentioned that before, but we've heard the phrase Black Lives Matter several times throughout the artwork, and this is getting at that phrase, all Black Lives Matter.
Mm-hmm.
And this is Lexi's Equality, BLM. And Lexi writes, equality for LGBT and equality for race. This is Michelle's Night Clubbing 180-gram vinyl. Michelle writes, Grace Jones, a legendary supermodel, disco queen, and actress. Her gender non-conforming fashion inspired many queer Black kids, finally able to see a piece of themselves on the cover of Vogue.
Yes, Grace Jones was a very strong, powerful woman back when she was on top of Vogue. I do remember those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just like luminous off the page. It's amazing.
Yeah. Wait, let you guys speak to all the good stuff about that. I'm just trying about how does she even know about Grace Jones? I'm like, oh my God, like she old enough to know about Grace Jones? Like just speaks volumes. And many people doesn't know that Grace Jones is actually from Syracuse area. And so she's right from Syracuse. Her family still lives in Syracuse.
Wow.
So it's just amazing. I mean, this was just amazing when I saw this. So this is good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think this really gets at representation too. And that's what Michelle seems to be also referencing in their artist statement,
Right.
which is pretty powerful.
Yeah, and it speaks to them being able to see, like she said, be able to see someone who looks like them on the cover of Vogue and on TV, just to see someone that looks like you. That's powerful.
Yeah, when kids see themselves in the world, I think their world view changes, like the possibilities expand a little bit every time, and they're not so alone, hopefully. All righty. Black Lives Matter. And this statement reads, I chose this topic because so many lives are lost due to unjust things that go unnoticed. As long as I have a voice, I will use it to speak on these topics for the people who cannot.
Mm. Again, being that ally, right? No, sorry, speak it in.
I really like it.
Sometimes the response is silence. Like that one
Yeah.
felt like that had weight to it. They all have weight to them.
Mm-hmm.
This one is by Mason. It's untitled and there's no artist statement.
Once again, it shows that, you know, with the hands of different shades, different colors coming together, you know, in that unity type of format. Yeah, this speaks volumes as well.
Doesn't matter the color of your skin, right?
Yeah.
Ireland, BLM, digital collage. Ireland says, my creative process was that BLM is a very important and sensitive topic to talk about, but it needs to be discussed.
Mm.
Yeah, I like the diversity of the images and how she uses the fist to kind of portray the different images within the fingers and the background as well.
Yeah. Again, it's the fact that, you know, we need to start having these topics and we need to start discussing these things and not just watching it out on TV, but having these hard discussions is going to make that change.
Mm-hmm. Black Girls Matter by Mary Lee. There's no artist statement for this one. It was done in watercolor. But I think it's a pretty clear message about, you know, how art can, you know, folks can empower themselves with artwork. They're encouraging themselves, they're encouraging other people.
Mm-hmm.
Emerson, fight for what's right. And Emerson says, this piece displays the connection people have when they fight for what's right. The need and desire for equity for all religions, races, sexuality, and levels of ableism. Seems there was more on the back of the form, but we had difficulty reading it. I'm sorry. We'll go to the next one.
And again, really addressing the intersecting identities that people have.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. We Matter by Tremaine. I selected this topic because it is an important issue in this world. People like me are being treated wrongly.
Wow, that's very, very powerful.
Yeah. Sam, 2020. I think BLM is a serious matter that we should take seriously. I also think it is a good topic to learn about.
Yeah.
Fire at the bottom is so evocative.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And again, it's one of those ideas of, you know, being passionate, being interested in learning and keeping that fire going, sustaining action.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think that's how we all felt too with how we titled the art show. Not a moment, but a movement, because we want to keep this going very much as well.
Good
Mm-hmm.
point. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Existence or Resistance by Zora. Zora writes, when people don't respect Black people as equals, as humans, it hurts. Lots of African Americans live in fear of what may happen to themselves or their family members when doing basic, simple things, like driving a car, walking home from the store, sleeping in their own bed. It's hard to have to go through everyday actions without thinking things like, is this something I can do without being hurt? Or can I walk to my school safely? Black people have been harassed by the police, living in fear of what happened to Casey Goodson Jr., Breonna Taylor, Tatiana Jefferson, and many more. Would that happen to us, to me? People in power, including police, can't disregard Black lives and expect us to just go on and forget. We will never forget. Say their names. Casey Goodson Jr., Breonna Taylor, Tatiana Jefferson, and many more.
Wow, I like she just shows the vulnerability and she shows the realness of what it is like, being a person of color, especially right about now. How she just was so vulnerable to talk about, the experiences or just the things that she's seen or witnessed. So this speaks volumes.
Mhm.
This is Nathan's love. And Nathan's statement says, it took half an hour to draw. It took me total 2 hours to color. And I think this is placed, these two images are placed really intriguingly next to each other because it really is the stark contrast of being a young person and being a child and having to confront racism
Mhm.
without having a choice about it.
Right. And this coming from that childlike perspective, like we said before, right? Like having these type of topics to have to discuss them, stop police violence to Black people, equality is better. I see all the heart and the love and the connections and the two hands that are different races coming together to say stop racism from a childlike perspective. This is how he sees it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm so glad they shared how long they worked on it. Like, what a commitment. That's amazing.
Yes.
I was thinking that too, Maggie. It's like,
2 hours to color is a lot.
yes.
Yeah, they put their heart and soul into it.
Yeah.
You were allowed to be a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Angel, sacred ground. I chose native lands to make art about because even now lands are being taken from Native Americans.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that we had a piece that
Yes.
focused on Native Americans.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think another piece that was in here earlier said "No more stolen sisters" with the red hand, which is another big symbol that you may see in the news or in protests. There's some big issues that are disproportionately affecting Black and Brown communities and Indigenous communities. And one of them is there's the land back movement, there's the pipelines, there's, I think they mentioned no more stolen sisters, right? That's in reference to, the missing Indigenous women that frequently go missing and there's no more word about what happened to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Express Yourself by Heidi. So many people focus on how other people want them to be. Instead, you should focus on how you want yourself to be.
Be you, as she says. Just be you. I like it.
I like that.
Avery has titled this Racism. And Avery writes, try to imagine that you're walking down the street. Then a white robber runs by. Then police accuse you because you're Black.
I like how he sees that one It's not greater than the other, right? And he shows that they're both equal
Hmm.
in racism. Oh, look, they're both holding the heart together.
Yeah, awesome.
And I'm not sure, I don't know if it says end of racism.
Racism.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Kanya, more hugs around the world. Hugs are great, especially when someone is feeling down. The world needs a really big hug. Yeah.
Yes, we do. I have to agree. We really do need a great big hug, everyone in this world,
Yes.
especially what we're seeing now and what's happening, to our Asian and Asian Island Pacific brothers and sisters.
Mhm.
we do need a big hug right about now. So thank you, Kanaya. We do need that hug.
I agree.
Thanks, Kanaya.
Love these materials too.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, this was one of the more 3D artworks that we got. There, I believe, are little stones or kind of mixed media in there.
Incredible.
Nice.
That's one I'd definitely like to see in person.
Yeah, it's pretty cool in person. I've seen it. It's nice.
And Lauren's, when we stand together, we'll bloom. Lauren writes, we are all equal, and although change is needed, we must all stand for it to happen. Little by little, change and justice will come. Learning and standing up will make us bloom.
And I spoke on this piece in our little clip, and I hear solidarity, right? As we all stand together, we can make change. Standing alone, it's not the way that we want to get to some of these changes.
Yeah. I just think it's just so powerful. And it's also, very beautiful too.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And that was our last piece.
Yeah. So I just want to offer, before we start wrapping up, a thank you to the artists. Gerard, like you said, they've really have shared with us a lot of vulnerability, and folks are trusting us with their artwork. So I really appreciate you. If you're the artist, I'm talking to you. Thank you so much for joining us in this show, for sharing your voice with us, and continuing to advocate for racial justice in our community. Thank you for strengthening the Rochester community. And I hope that your voice continues to be heard loudly and proudly. I hope the conversation continues in this community and that Rochester is continuing to be on the path to action. Thank you for sharing.
Yes, and a huge shout out to all the parents who came, picked up artwork, who just, emailed them in, got us to us. So huge shout out to all of the parents. We thank you as well.
And I just want to thank our wonderful team at Pediatric Behavioral Health and Wellness that really made this all possible, and the wonderful collaboration with the Bridge Art Gallery and Amanda. And a shout out again to the William and Mildred Levine Foundation for helping us fund this, and hopefully a lot more exciting creative arts events to come.
Racial justice initiatives will all together. I'm so excited.
And I just want to answer a quick question that I saw in the chat. Maureen asked, how can we see the art if we missed some? This video is going to be up on the Bridge Art Gallery Facebook page, as well as the Pediatric Behavioral Health and Wellness Facebook page. If you want to see it, we are still determining whether, with COVID restrictions, in-person visits can be done, but we will post on social media if those are. But if you missed any part of this live stream, it will be up on Facebook as well after this.
Yes, and please go like and share our page, Pediatric Behavioral Health and Wellness page, and the Memorial Bridges Art Gallery page as well. So please like our page and share our page as well.
Have a good evening, everybody.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us.